1997 CR80R here. Got a video request to see the Bobcat, so we'll go ahead and take a look at it. The video request was on my Bayou hard acceleration video, and I can't reply to your comments because you don't have, there's an option on your YouTube account and you have to like select it so people can reply to your comments. So I can't reply to your comments saying alright, I'll do that, so you're just gonna have to watch this video. And I don't even know if you realize that nobody can reply to your comments, or maybe you want it that way, but anyways, here's your video that you requested. I can't even remember your username right now. So it's a 1982 Bobcat 825 diesel. This is the hydraulic cooler, and this is the engine radiator, obviously. Standard modern Bobcats have the radiator and oil cooler up here, and there's like air ducting to a fan on the crankshaft on that end, like a squirrel cage fan. I actually like this setup better. It's got a regular fan on the water pump. I run the belt loose, you know, I can easily spin the fan just slipping in the belt. But that's perfectly fine because it'll make the water pump bearings last longer. It's got plenty of green coolant in it. There's a pretty big story on this Bobcat, and I'll explain it once we finish our walk around. I'm not going to start it because it's extremely cold-blooded. This is the fuel. Engine oil dipstick. Actually, I haven't checked it for a while, but if you can read, that says max, and there's the line, and it's right on the line. The oil is pretty black. It has, this is the hydraulic oil, hydrostatic. It runs 10W30 motor oil in there. This is the block heater, 1500 watt circulating block heater. If you look down here, that fitting right there, I made that fitting. It comes out of the lower radiator hose. I basically took a piece of a satellite dish, like dish TV, the pipes that hold that dish up, and I cut it and then welded a fitting into it and put barbs on each end. And then it comes out in 5/8 line into the circulating block heater, and it comes up through this foamed line through a case transmission hydraulic drive motor line, and then into the top of the head, so the water gets pushed down, the hot water gets pushed down, sucked through there, and it just keeps going around. In about half an hour to an hour, and this valve cover is already nice and warm. And this thing is, the head is just untouchable. And this motor doesn't have glow plugs at all. They would be right here, right here, right here, and like right here. But it doesn't have glow plugs. What it basically has is this line comes off the filter. It's one of the return lines, and it has a little pressure in it when you're cranking. And it comes into a thermal start, and if you see my videos, I have a thermal start video. Basically, this thing gets red hot, this electric wire, and when it gets hot enough, it opens a thermal controlled valve in there, and it squirts fuel in, making a fire in the intake. It like blows fire in there. But since this has a rubber hose here, it can't make a fire all the time. It can only make a fire when you're sucking in and cranking. So that's why it runs off pressure from the fuel pump. Now if this was a metal line, or the thermostat, this manifold was bigger and the thermostat was like right here, it would have a gravity feed line in it, and it would have fire on it all the time when you're pushing the button. This is a 38 horsepower Perkins 4.108 diesel engine with a GM alternator is what it came with, and I had to replace that because it was backfeeding in the system. It has a newer fuel pump on it. So here's my maintenance records. Oil 127, 140, and 147. Let's go look at the R meter. We have LifeMaster tires on here. It's at 154 right now, so it's not like I've been going too far in my oil changes. Fuel gauge works. Now, this thing has a 30-gallon fuel tank. It holds 30 gallons of hydraulic oil. I'm going to go ahead and sit in it. The reason it beeps when you turn the key on is I built that beeper into the wiring system. To stop the engine, this is your throttle, that's idle, that's stop. And then of course that's full throttle, and anywhere in between is a different RPM. So you pull it all the way back to kill the motor. If that beeper wasn't in there, it would be on. You'd kill the motor, jump out, forget the key on. It runs the oil and the alternator light and it runs the alternator too. So what I did is I wired that beeper into the oil pressure light. So if the oil pressure light's on, that beeper's on, which is also a good thing for if you're running low on oil, you'll hear it beep too, but that's not the case. I keep it right on the full. Another feature of this is it has, come on, focus. It has speed range or transmission. That'd be low range, and that'd be high range. I do high range for long speed runs and very light long speed runs plowing, and then low range for plowing heavy wet snow at slow speeds. Right here we have a Western 7.5 foot plow, I'm pretty sure it is, with hydraulic turn, and we just kind of made this plow mount that my grandpa gave us. And we got new Life tires on it, and a lot of the joints have a smiley face on them. It's kind of funny. So that's what the Bobcat is. Now I'll go ahead and explain to you why we have this. We got it cheap because it needed hydraulic oil. That whole 30 gallons of 10W30 motor oil needed to be changed and flushed. That's that dipstick right there. And when we did that, we filled it up with drain oil just to flush it. And then we replaced all the filters and put clean oil in. But we filled it up with drain oil just to get all the extra water out, because there's water in the hydraulics. We went to crank it over, and it didn't crank over. It just turned a little bit and stopped. That intake guard right there, intake rain cap right here, was not on there. If you look, it's just a pipe sticking up. An open pipe was there. He said he had a pop can on it, but the wind probably blew it off. It sat there all summer with just, sorry about the wind, but it sat there all summer with water in the air cleaner. And the water eventually got clogged up with rust. The sealing right here, it sealed itself with rust. So it stopped leaking out onto the muffler. It started filling up, and it finally filled up enough to start running into the intake manifold, and it filled up cylinders with water. So we removed all 4 injectors, cranked it over, and water was coming out. Thankfully that hadn't done that during the winter. That water would have frozen. It would have trashed all the cylinders. This motor was rebuilt like 150 hours ago, but within that 150 hours was the one that got hydrolocked with water all summer. It runs great now. I would start it, but it's really cold-blooded due to having no glow plugs, and it's like 38 degrees out. I could probably get it started with that thermal start right there, but I'm not even gonna try. It's just hard on the starter. You just plug it in for half an hour and it'll start right up. This is the oil drain right here. That's the injection pump. Thing rolls coal, it rolls coal pretty good. So, but basically then we had to reseal the injectors. There's copper washers in there, and we just found what we had in our garage and made a combination of them. We had 2 kits, and there were special ones from the factory, so we ended up using 2. We used a smaller outer diameter one and a bigger outer diameter one because they had to be double thick. And they don't leak any compression. They were leaking compression before because they had the wrong ones. So that's good now. Starts right up once it's warmed up, or if it's warm outside. It's got oil down in there. And I'm not exactly sure where it's leaking out. It might actually be coming out of that thing right there. I'm not even sure what that thing is. Right there. But oh well. So I'm gonna go ahead and shut the back door now. And then shut the top. So with all the work we had to do with this, we got it pretty cheap, and it's plowed a crap ton of snow. We got pallet forks right here, and oh great, one of the forks came off. Oh well. I do most of the snow plowing. My dad did it once over the winter because I wasn't home. I was burning brush with my neighbor. And this snow mountain right here, there's 2 buckets that came with it. One is pretty much crap and one is good. And there's somewhere right around that aluminum pipe. So once all this snow melts, I can get to my buckets, which is actually a really stupid idea, but we ended up getting so much snow this winter that I ran out of places to put the snow, so that's where it ended up, some of it. And now I really wish I had my buckets for scraping and moving slush, but oh well. Okay, I'm gonna keep recording other videos, so see you later.